Hello, welcome to the Sports Career Podcast. I'm Jack Ragone. Today we are taking a break from sports to talk to Officer Hamilton. He is the school resource officer here at the high school. How you doing today, Officer Hamilton?
I'm doing well, Jack. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have some questions for you today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How and when did you become a police officer?
Oh, wow. How? I ended up taking a civil service test. And once you pass the civil service test, you are given a score, and then you're kind of ranked. And once a department that uses the civil service test as their way of hiring, they qualify a certain amount of people, and then you go through the interview process and paperwork, and then they start to make their selections that way.
You have to have a certain rank?
No, ranks don't come until you get within your department, but you are ranked with a number according to your test. But if you're talking about, say, like a corporal or a sergeant or a lieutenant, if you're talking about that type of rank, you get that once you are in your department.
What does it take to become a police officer?
Different things. Some police departments require a college degree. Some, again, are civil service. If you're selected by that department, you're required to go through the police academy. Once you go through the police academy, you'll go through a lot of classroom work, a lot of physical fitness, which everything runs about 6 months. You'll do a week of a driving course. You'll do a week of firearms. You'll do a week of defensive tactics and a week of CPR training. Once you're finished all of that, you'll eventually come to graduation.
Some pretty serious stuff there.
Yeah.
How did you end up here at the high school?
I chose to come to the high school. I was originally assigned to one of the middle schools, Bunker Hill Middle School, here in the township, and an opportunity came about for another SRO to come to the high school, and I put in for it.
What have you learned from your experience?
From the school itself?
Just being a police officer in general.
What have I learned? I learned to just remain a human. When interacting with the public, just remember that everyone that I come in contact with is just like me. We have good and bad days. So I don't treat them any differently than I would treat myself. Some days people are rushing because they're late. Some people are frantic because they're trying to get home because there's an emergency, and it causes them to, they may drive fast, they may drive erratic. Some people lose their cool in a store. They have bad days like we have bad days. So, I try to treat them the same way I would want somebody to treat me when I'm having a bad day.
What advice would you give someone who wants to be a police officer?
I guess pretty much the same thing. Don't get caught up in thinking that the police is something that makes you higher than anyone else. You're there to help them get through whatever the problems are that they're going through. It may be a crash. It may be a shooting. It may be an altercation of some sort, and we're just there to help try to get that person or those people through that situation as best as possible.
Is it fun to drive your car with the lights and sirens on?
It is pretty cool. I won't lie. It is pretty cool. People start to move out of your way, and you're like, hey, look at this. But you have to be very careful. There's certain things to having your lights and sirens on. So you can't just go 100 miles an hour like people think that you can. You have to be very careful at intersections as well.
It's not like you own the road.
That is
kind of thing.
correct. We don't own the road.
What do you think of the Phillies and Eagles this year?
Well, the Phillies. Let's start there. I'm very excited about the Phillies. We need one more win, and
Yes.
then we're going on. So I'm very excited for that. The Eagles. The Eagles are my second favorite team. So I might catch a lot of flack for that. I do follow them. I'm glad they had a good win last night because I'm really a San Fran fan. But I do root for the Eagles.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't know. That's a good question. Anyone that gets into police work, if they have the opportunity to be an SRO and interact with students and the rest of the public, I would say give it a shot. It's very interesting getting to know kids. You know, once you grow up, so to speak, you lose touch with that young base. And so being able to see what the new norms are for students your age, the trends and things like that, all of the social media, you know, it helps keep us young a little bit, but we're also able to relate at that point in time. So I like the interaction and stuff like that. So I would say if they get into it, if they get a shot to become an SRO, to give it a go, they'll learn a lot more than what they think they will.
Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, Jack.
That will be all on this edition of the Sports Guru Podcast. I'm Jack Argon. See you next time.